So now what happens is you become defensive when you understand the situation is not right internally, and you become diligent in your work. Okay, that's fine. Then comes dominating. Dominating is a skill which sometimes helps, but sometimes it may be counterproductive. Dominating means you are dominating over the whole situation, you are dominating over the other colleagues, dominating over your clients or customers, dominating over the person who you are interacting with. If use it very cautiously, very carefully, the dominating nature usually people don't like, but sometimes this dominating nature helps in getting the things done, in taking a decision. But there are certain things like, I won't say negative, but let me cite one or two examples that I have experienced. A person enters a chamber, then he finds a person sitting on a large table, and there is another person sitting opposite to him. The person who entered, he went to the person who is sitting on the table and tried to express his problem or his queries. Before that gentleman answers, the other person who is sitting opposite side, he says, tell me, what's your problem? This is very surprising, isn't it, to you? Then how come? You have gone to an office, you have gone to a chamber, you are discussing, you are addressing a person who is sitting on the right chair, and the other person who is sitting on the chair opposite to him, he says, tell me, what's your problem? You know, basically what has happened? The boss was sitting in opposite to the subordinate, and the chamber was of the subordinate. You have been guided by the receptionist to the subordinate's chamber. Subordinate means he is also a higher official, but the higher official also has a higher boss. The boss came to his chamber and sitting opposite to him and discussing on some issues or some policies. At that point of time you have entered, usually by protocol what would have happened, let me tell you. You expressed your problem to the person whom you have been led to by the receptionist. That gentleman would have given you some points and led you or guided you to the boss, and the boss is sitting in front of the other person. The boss thought, okay, since the route would have been something like going to him and then coming to me, why not I just interact? There are two things which happens. It is good one way, that you don't have to waste your time. The boss is in front, ultimately you would have been led to the boss knows what's your problem. But the way the boss asked you, tell me what's your problem, this is what is a dominating situation. Because boss wanted to make it clear to you that he is not the person, he is not the boss whom you are addressing, the actual boss is me. This is dominating. Maybe good, but sometimes, you know, it's very uncanny feeling that you'll have. There's another situation. We went to receive a group of delegates. We went to receive them in the railway station. They came out of the AC compartments. It's just by chance that the boss came out last. But we didn't know who was the boss. We went just to receive. So we started shaking hands with everybody and, you know, greeting them, please, welcome, welcome, and we are so happy to have it. Suddenly, the person who is from the back burges into the group and he said, tell me, yes, I am so and so. And then he introduced himself to be the boss. Dominating. This is dominating nature. If the boss would have been polite, he wouldn't have burst into it, into the group, interjecting all our greeting discussions. He would have quietly stood there, and the others would have introduced him to be the boss, that please meet our boss. It would have been more courteous, it would have been more graceful. So dominating, nobody likes, but yet sometime for decision making, dominating power is required. So use it very carefully. Okay? Emotional intelligence is your intrinsic intelligence. Use it. This is basically, part of it is endowed by nature, by God, comes through hereditary, and part you can always inculcate, nurture, learn it. But this is important. Emotion management is important. You are not liking the proposition by your client or customer or the seller. You suddenly become emotionally less organized. Then what happens is your whole talking style, interaction style, negotiation style, your entire body language, everything starts showing that you are not emotionally organized, not managed. This is very dangerous. Emotional management, you remember I said the calm, cool, such thing, amicable, these are the reflection of good emotional management. That means you must have a good control over your emotion, your mind, yourself, because ultimately, all said and done, we are guided by our mind. Anything that you are doing, the mind is guiding us. So emotional management is very important. We use terms, sometime earlier also I have used a term called anger management. If you see, anger is the worst thing that you are declaring that's negative. I am saying emotion management is everything. Something like, say, you didn't like the proposition, you didn't like the refusal, so you started behaving very, very roughly. Opposite of it. You have been offered a job, you have been offered a proposal, you have been offered a business, you suddenly become over-elated. That's also poor emotional management. Don't get elated just because offer has been done, just because the deal has been struck, and then suddenly your emotional management falls out, and then you start behaving very peculiarly. So emotional management, there is no something like this is right, this is wrong, and there is no absolute example that this is emotionally right managed. No, emotional management is self-control on your mind. That is emotional management. Empathy is basically the overall set of mind which makes you more comfortable, more acceptable to your clients, or even to your job givers, or even to your subordinates. Empathy is a very soft, very nice skill that one reflects. But be very careful. Showing empathy might sometimes may be construed as your weakness, your softness. So empathy, use it almost like a glass ball in a hand. Use empathy very, very cautiously, very carefully, exactly where it is required. You don't have to keep on showing your empathy to everybody, no. But empathy should be in your mind. If you find that somebody really needs a reflection of, or say, a kind of your demonstration of empathy, do it. This is a good skill. Emulating is something which helps you in updating. Not that everything you have learned or you have seen or you have experienced, no. So what happens is you emulate seeing people. You see people, you learn things, you see how they manifest, you see how they talk, how they stand, how they laugh, how they smile, how they shake hands, how they hug, how they write, everything, and you try to emulate. What you emulate is all positives. You emulate the positives. Don't ever emulate the negatives. Emulating is trying to do in the similar manner. That's what is emulating. If you see a big, businessman, and you find that his behavior, his operations, his manifestations, his dealing with the subordinates, his declaration of results, his declaration of a policy, his declaration of a concern, there are different ways of doing it. Each individual develops their own will develop his own style and manner. And if you think this is good, emulate it. So emulating is basically keeps you mentally open to learning. So emulating skill, if somebody has, he will be unstoppable, I can tell you. See the positives, emulate. But note of cautioning again, please never emulate something which is negative. Never. Because emulating something negative means you are maybe somebody has shouted at subordinates and got his things done. And you have learned that shouting at the subordinates gets the thing done. That's a wrong emulation. If you do that, then what happens is you lose your control over it. Don't do that. Enthusiasm is a system of your lifeline since you are in business. You should be enthusiastic. Even if you lose, don't lose your enthusiasm. Lose a project, don't lose your enthusiasm, because you have lost your project once. You have lost this project which you had been vying for. But who says the next project is not on your back? It's something like enthusiasm should remain. Enthusiasm is such an energy which pushes you forward, that you keep in mind that, okay, I haven't got it, he has got it, doesn't matter. Next time, again, I'll compete with him, I'll get it. So always thinking that the next will be the better one, or the positive one will keep your enthusiasm alive. And if you lose enthusiasm, then what will happen? Once you lose a project, once you lose a deal, once you lose a customer, once you lose a name, then if your enthusiasm goes negative, then you will never be able to stand up, because enthusiasm is something which keeps you standing up. It's something like a runner. He runs high speed, then falls, and he falls, and then he gets up with enthusiasm, because he knows that now he has to run farther. If he thinks I've fallen, so I cannot run, then it's gone. So in business, in professions, enthusiasm is your energy. That dynamo should always be active, never drain it out. Friendliness. Meet anybody, expected or unexpected, be friendly, make him a friend. If you can win a war by befriending your enemies, you can convert your enemy to your friend. Who is friend, basically? Social scientists will give a lot of definitions for this. Psychologists will give a lot of definitions for this. I'm not saying that. You can have large number of literatures on friendliness. Friendliness is something that when you are interacting with somebody, he feels very comfortable to interact with you and thinks that you are thinking about good for him or her. That is friendliness. They will consider you to be somebody whom they can fall on, they can confide on. But I would tell you one thing here. Every time when I'm saying something positive, if there is a note of cautioning, I'll add. Don't be over friendly. In profession, we loosely use this word, of course. I'm not very sure whether it is true, but we use this term saying in profession nobody is a friend. In profession it is always give and take. In profession it is only somebody is expecting something from you. Nobody is a friend. Say that. They say. But I'm not saying that you have to be a friend, but you can be friendly. Being a friend is a big deal, It's like making a friend or being a friend it calls for lots of other attributes, which I am not touching upon. I am saying be at least friendly, be accommodative, be open to discussion, at least be adaptive. Try to understand his points, try to express your own points, share. Okay, that is what is a friendliness. It should not be like, say, the moment somebody says, "Can you help me? Why should I help you?" That's unfriendliness. If somebody says, "Okay, I need this product from you," then you have to say, "You can, but the only thing is if you pay this price." Unfriendliness. You can always say, "Yes, you need this product. Yes, I do have this product, but are you ready to pay for this amount of money? Then I can part with it." This is the friendliness. The way you are saying as if you are trying to help him as a friend, but that does not mean that you are a friend. Okay. Goal setting for any professionals, any business professionals, any salesperson, set the goals. Now you think about it, that goal setting is so universal. Whether you are a business professional or anybody else, goal setting is very important. Goal setting is what? You are trying to say, you are starting from this particular point and you are trying to see almost the end point. And when you are trying to see the end point, you are trying to project the end point. You are also trying to see in between steps. But in between steps, you don't leave it loose-ended. You see what is the final outcome of it. So goals, you have to set a goal. You know, there are many experts or many successful business people, they have risen from a very low level to a very rich millionaire, billionaires. Okay? Because they could do it, they have set their goals. And I have a suggestion. If you are setting a goal, don't publicize it. Don't have to. Because if you publicize it, people will treat this as a daydreaming. They will say, oh, you are setting a goal that you will be an engineer. Just think about it in class 5 or 6, when if you tell your friends, I want to be an engineer, then people will laugh at you and say, oh, you want to be an engineer, because they don't trust you, because they also cannot set their goals. But if you think that you want to be an engineer, then naturally what will happen is, to be an engineer from class 5 onwards, how should you study? You regulate it, you organize it. Which books should you study? You have to study the books of sciences, mathematics. You have to be good in mathematics. Okay, that means now, since you thought that you will be an engineer, class 12 onwards, school onwards, then you are setting the goal that I have to take a science stream, I have to be good at physics, chemistry and maths, and I have to learn them well so that I can appear for competitive examinations. And not only that, I have to qualify that, for which I have to read something more. And all these you are additionally doing because you have set your goal that you want to be an engineer. And imagine that if it was just the reverse, you don't have any such goal. Whether you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, politician, engineer, God knows what. That means you are leaving it to the fate that as it comes, wherever you succeed in your after school, you lead to that life. That means you don't have a goal. This is general, but I'll tell you, for business people, setting a goal is the first. The goal is the object that you visualize it. But there's one very interesting thing happens in the goal setting. Why people generally, criticize goal setters, saying daydreamers? Because they might have encountered or interacted with people who are setting the goals but do not really know how to reach that goal. That's why it's daydreaming. Daydreaming means that, okay, you are thinking that you will become this, but you don't know how to go to reach that particular goal. Daydreamer. But I can tell you one thing. Goal setting, if you have, once you set the goal, then first point is starting to set a goal from here, and the goal is here physically. If I consider this is time, in the time frame, this is where the goal is. In between there's a big length, and you know every segments you have to tread, and this segments that you have to tread, you must know every segment. So once you set the goal, then you start working out the entire in between steps and work it out. Then you will find that reaching a goal is very easy. Somebody wants to be an artist, painter in future, then naturally when they have set, the person who has set the goal that I want to be an artist in future, then naturally he has to look for a good drawing book, a good color pencil, a good brushes, good paints, and a good teacher who can teach that how to paint, because his ultimate goal is to become an engineer, artist, not an engineer. So what happens is he'll look for this. But the person who is setting a goal for being engineer, then he knows that no point wasting my time with the brushes and color, because I want to be an engineer. He need not, maybe for his own satisfaction, he may go to an art teacher, learn painting, no problem, that's additional. But to be an engineer, he has to now see engineering objects. Any objects in the house which is reflecting engineering, he should be interested in that, watch. If necessary, dismantle it and see how it works, because the engineering sense, he knows that he wants to be an engineer, so engineering sense is inculcated every day. So point is, my suggestion is set a goal. For business, set a goal. And if you set the goal, not necessary that you will reach the goal, not necessary, but there is a high probability that you will be reaching the goal, because the goal reaching is it's a matter of trading a path. And the moment you have set the goal, then the path also you are laying. You are laying the path year by year, day by day, year by year. You are laying the path, so you are walking farther, going forward to the goal, and you reach the goal. This is where, all these personal skills that you can, soft skills that you have. If you ask me to give in terms of mathematics, really not, because all these soft skills are so much socio-psychological. that it becomes very difficult to quantify them. And quite often I have seen many of my friends, many of my colleagues, that they are manifesting some soft skill. Not that they know that they have that soft skill, it just comes out in situations. It becomes all right. Somebody who had been always a good natured and a very soft spoken person suddenly erupts into a volcanic interaction or discussions or abuses. That is a negative of the soft skill. That means he could not have the emotional management. He just went into that. Now you analyze it. If you find that, okay, the person who had been always soft, suddenly why he erupted like that? Maybe the situation has forced him. But look at him, allow him to pacify for some time. You see that the soft skill is soft spoken, good natured person. It is only a context and a situation which has triggered his emotion, went beyond that emotional management domain, and he behaved such erratically. So the point is, in the whole process of your business negotiations and marketing and all other in the life, I would say, all these soft skills, not that you are going to learn one by one, understand it and take the positives of it. Okay? So I conclude it today. In my next set, I will discuss further on these personal skills. There are many more points, and then I'll go to other skills, social skills and innovative skills or creative skills and such other. Okay? Thank you very much. Enjoy it. Give your feedback in the forum. If it has been beneficial for you, then please mark it saying it had been beneficial. If you need something more to learn, if you beyond this, say I would suggest one thing. You follow the entire course for the 12 weeks. Okay? And then you give me your inputs in terms of what more you want. At this point, if you say I need more, you do not know maybe that things which you are looking for are coming in my forward courses, forward other weeks. So if up to which I have discussed, if you have any queries, any further clarifications, please feel free to email through forum or even individually. If you think that you are feeling shy, it happens. Quite often I have found many of my students in the class, they don't ask me questions even if the point has not been clear in his mind. Later on, after the class was over, came to me and said, "Sir, can you please clarify this?" I said, "Why didn't you ask me in the class?" He says, "I felt shy. I thought that the question may be very trivial. I felt that my friends will bully me that, okay, such a simple things that you didn't understand." So people feel shy. So speaking in the forum, sometime I have found that many of the questions that you have, you don't want to expose yourself that you are asking that question. In that case, please use my personal email ID. Shoot your mail there. During the course, during this week's courses, or even after the course is over, anytime, even in future, ask whatever you want to know more on this. Is that fine? So enjoy this 1 week's course. Try to answer or respond to our assignments that we are going to give. Assignments are not going to be tough. Please attempt the assignments. Through assignments, I would be able to have an idea that how much the points that I have explained could be grasped by the viewers who are listening to me and who are following my lecture, and wait for all the 12 weeks courses. Frame your questions. You keep on listing your questions, and you ask me these questions when you think it's a right time and you must get clarifications. If you need to have a clarification right in between, please don't hesitate, because I'm very open to the questions, and I never get disturbed by questions which I may not like. Doesn't matter, because the questions are something which is disturbing you in your mind. You want to know more, or you want to give me some inputs where I can add more. So please feel free, enjoy this course, and if you are enjoying this course, definitely express. And if there is any suggestions for improvement, definitely express. Okay? Thank you very much, friends.